Hey, Mega Moms, Jessica Hensley here with Real Estate Mega Moms, where we help moms create a life and a business that they love. And today I am joined by one of our coaching students, Stefany Sarami. Did I say it right?
You said it right.
Okay,
Surround me. Yes.
good. Okay. And she is already seeing some great results, and I'm excited to share and for her to share what she's doing in her business that's working and what she's getting out of the Real Estate Mega Mom program. Well, hi, Stefany. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Jessica. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. So, you're the first six foundation students that we have interviewed because we started this kind of program. We redid our system totally and reintroduced it to our tribe in January. And we've been like letting everyone marinate in it, right? Actually see the results. And
Awesome.
so, yeah, you're our first testimony. So, I'm excited to get to share your experience, but why don't we go back a little bit and let's tell everyone where you serve and how long you've been in the business, and also what made you like, why did you get into real estate, and what did you think it was going to be? What were your expectations?
Sure. So I am in the Bluffton, South Carolina area. I serve Bluffton, Hilton Head, mostly Beaufort County. I have been licensed since October, but really kind of got started. Our new office opened in January. So I'd say, I was licensed in October, but really dove in January. I also got my reciprocal recently in Georgia because we are very close to Savannah. So I serve the Savannah and surrounding areas there as well. So far I have two homes under contract in South Carolina, and I just secured a listing from a for sale by owner in Statesboro, Georgia. So that's been really exciting.
Awesome. Why did you decide to get your real estate license?
So, real estate has kind of always been in my family. I grew up, even my grandfather, he built apartment complexes in Richmond, Virginia. My parents have been more on the investment side of real estate and the commercial side. And then my husband also works in small, like construction jobs and home installations in the Bluffton area. So it's just kind of always been in my blood, and it's always been in the back of my mind. I was a stay-at-home mom for 4 years, and we got our boys in daycare, and I decided it was time for me to get back into the workforce and decided to get my license, and it's been fun so far. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand the background with the family being in the commercial real estate world. Did you have anybody that was actually an agent in your family? Did you know what to expect necessarily?
No clue. I will say that my mom and I believe my dad did the schooling in Virginia, but they never actually got licensed. So yeah, I'm the first one in the family to actually be an agent, and I honestly thought I would go in it more on the transactional side, like doing the contracts and just kind of back in, because I am not one to kind of put myself out there. I didn't have social media before this or anything like that, so I did not know where I would fit in. But some people on my team who brought me in wanted me to try the sales part of it first. And I didn't know how much I would enjoy, finding people their homes, and even some of the negotiation aspects has been fun. So yeah, I do really enjoy it.
Good. That's good. And one thing I love about real estate, especially like this side of it where we're actually helping people buy and sell, is the impact you're making in their lives. I love working with first-time home buyers. Have you kind of found a niche of the type of buyer that you like to work with yet?
So, still working on finding my niche. Hopefully, more to come on that in the future. I do have a few first time home buyers that I've sent to my lender, and hopefully, we'll be getting pre approval and to me, that is also very rewarding, finding somebody their first home and helping them through the process and all of that. So who knows if that will be what I fall into or not, but yeah, still looking for that, particular area. Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you have expectations as a brand new agent with your schedule and income? And then how is it stacking up to those expectations?
I went into it pretty blind, I would say. Being a stay-at-home mom, we have survived off of my husband's income for years. So I didn't really have, anything in my head. I knew I wanted to help contribute to our lifestyle and the family, and but that number wasn't really there. But I will say joining this program really helped me break down, which my husband is grateful for, break down our expenses and really see, how I could help, and kind of lock some of those numbers in. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. So, what she's referring to, one of the first things we talk to our students about is knowing their numbers, but specifically their budget for their house and for their business, what's already coming in, and what they need to contribute in order to not just survive, but to thrive, right? So, when we say thrive, I always like to take people through the exercise of what are your big goals? What are the big things that you have that you're working for, your why, So, what were some of those goals for you?
A big goal for me is I wanted to be the one that could support us on vacations. We love to travel, and that's a big part of, what we want to be our lifestyle. And I don't want that stress to be put on my husband. So a big part of that was, yeah, me being able to take our family on vacations. And then also smaller things of, like getting my nails done or getting a massage or, those kind of things where it was me paying for it and not feeling, the pressure of,
Yeah.
the burden on my husband. Yeah.
Some of the extras for the family, and vacations are so important. I
Hmm.
if you think about it when you're growing up, the highlights that you remember, the big memories, at least for me, it's the times we got to go on vacation or like something disrupted our normal daily routine. Those are the things
For
that
sure.
stand out. So getting to provide that for your kids is great.
Yes.
So what you did, just to walk everyone through this exercise, you're going to think about what is your big why, your reason for working, and whatever it is. Some people it's to pay their basic bills, right?
Hmm.
And some it's vacation, or maybe it's going to be investments. So whatever it is, getting really clear on that and asking like, well, why do I want this? Why is this important? And I think you would probably agree, like one of the whys is probably the memories, right, with your kids and getting to enjoy that time while they're young.
Absolutely.
So then what you do is you start to map that out, right? What's your vacation plan this year? I'm sure you have that mapped out.
We actually are. We're about to go to the Cayman Islands in the first week in June.
Awesome.
My husband's parents have a timeshare there, so we're finally getting to go this year with them and enjoy that.
Right.
Um, that's really it, though, for now.
Yeah.
So,
Well, whatever it is, right? So you're gonna identify it, and I always tell people, why don't you go ahead and do something where you can visualize it and see it on a regular basis. So
mhm,
like the Cayman Islands, or maybe, I want to travel eventually. I've never been overseas, but I'd love to go to Paris. I'd love to go to Italy. So these are bucket list items. So let's say my goal was to have that. Or this year I wanted to go to Hawaii because I'm going to be 40. We're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary. And so in my head,
awesome.
yeah, that's my big goal. So on my vision board, my Hawaii picture, went up, and I know that's what I'm working for. So then you find out what that's going to cost, and then you
Mhm.
put it on your monthly budget, and then that's how you fund it, right? And that's how you decide how many transactions you need to close on a monthly basis. So what is your number? How many transactions do you need to close?
So I need to close. I more so know how many people I need to be working with. Is that okay?
That's fine because most people don't even know that, Stephanie, and you know that because of the program. So I'm gonna
Yes.
take it. So we'll go farther into that. So let's say I'm just going to give her a number. Let's say 12. Let's say 12 is what she needs to close annually. So then what we do is we back into, all right, I need to close 12. So how many people do I need to talk to in order to get a transaction, whether it's a signed buyer or a signed seller? And then we even break that down further with how many people do we need to attempt to call on a weekly basis, and we start tracking those numbers. So this is something we go over every week in our coaching calls. Like if they're asking me a question, I'm like, okay, how are your attempts? So yeah, go ahead and tell us what does your numbers look like?
Yep. So I need to be with at least 2 buyers every month, and I need to be my sellers. I'm working on the numbers there because I am buyer heavy. But right now it's a decimal. So I just have one in my head, one listing in my head. Yeah, per month. So that's
Perfect.
3, I guess, per month. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's active. So and depends on the market. So this is something we go over in the course, and there's like a formula for it. But depending on how many days it takes you to find an active buyer a home and they go under contract and close, that's the number that goes there. So it tells you how many people you need at all times. That's really
Mhm.
what you're looking, right? It's not necessarily the closing. It's
Right.
just, am I on track or off track?
Mhm.
So for Stefany, she needs to have 2 active buyers at all times that are less than, I'm just going to say 90 days old, right? That
Mhm.
we signed and she's been working with for less than 90 days. And then the same goes for a seller.
Mhm.
So then we ask, how many appointments do you need to go on weekly? Do you know that number?
I know for the selling side, it's 1 appointment
Okay.
per week. So the buyer side might be a little bit more, two appointments maybe per week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that just gives them, our students, it gives you a really specific goal that you know each week if you're winning, if you're on track or off track. And if you know, I mean, it's okay to have off weeks, obviously. We're not going to be perfect every week, but if we're off week after week, month after month, then obviously we're not going to reach our goal, right? So it's just a lot easier to course correct when we see by the week, what are we doing this week to actually reach our goals?
Yeah. I mean, kids get sick or whatever. I know mine just had spring break a few weeks ago, and it was my first holiday, I guess, when I've been actively working with them. So that was an experience for sure.
And then you're going to have summer. Are they going to be going to daycare this summer or?
Luckily, the daycare will be open in the summer, but my oldest will start kindergarten next year. So I have
Okay.
1 more year, I guess, of steady daycare.
Okay. So why don't you tell us why did you sign up for the Six Foundations? What was the motivation for that?
Well, I started with your mini course, and I found everything that was in there very useful and helpful, and I wanted to, dive in even deeper. Um, Again, I didn't have social media, so I had no idea how to even go about marketing myself or any properties through Facebook, Instagram, so be it. And the organizational side of it. I didn't have a calendar or anything, you know, not being in the workforce for so many years, you're kind of just like day to day, whatever happens, happens. So that was new to me too. And those were definitely my 2 main reasons and 2 things that have been very, very helpful. And then also just the accountability. You're in a group with other moms doing the same thing that you're doing. Sometimes on those weekly calls, some of the moms will have their sick baby there or whatever the case may be. And so it just makes it feel more normal and you're not alone. And that's a big thing for me too.
I love that. And that's why we started Real Estate Mega Moms, because we wanted to have a space where we didn't feel intimidated, and
Mhm.
nothing against guys. In fact, we are thinking about opening up some of our products to men and giving that option, but we really are protecting our women only spaces because um, we just have different challenges, right?
For sure.
Most of us, right? Most of the men, and I know not every man, right? Some of them are single dads or whatever, but most of the men have a support system, unlike women at this time. And also, I'm not against it. I think that the woman's role in the house is you're still the primary, like, go-to caregiver for your kids.
Hmm.
And honestly, I wouldn't want to change that for myself. So anyway, it's a different struggle that we go through, the mom
It
guilt
is.
and
For sure. And
all.
with real estate too, that's actually something else that you have taught me is setting your boundaries with your clients. Having a family, you really need to be mindful of setting time aside and letting your clients know, like, hey, I'm available, here, here, and here, but this day is for my family, or, whatever the case may be, you decide. But that was, being a new agent, you're like, oh, I have to be available at all times, like, don't want to lose this or whatever. But you need to make time for your family because that's important.
Absolutely. Because, commission checks will come and go, clients will come and go. And I don't think anyone on their deathbed or, after the kids are long gone would say, I mean, I wish I had another closing.
Right.
It's like, no, I wish I had more time with my family. And so the whole goal with Mega Moms is to empower moms to reach their financial goals through real estate without missing time with their family. And it's not a perfect goal. I'm not saying you'll never miss anything ever because there are hard choices. But I think if your overarching mission and you're able to spend more time without feeling guilty with your family and reach your financial goals, then you succeeded.
Huge win for sure.
Okay, so let's see what else you already shared where you're at and you are on a team currently.
Yes.
And what is your position on the team?
I'm an agent. I work with Coast Professionals brokered by eXp Realty. We have a ton of agents, so it's really nice to be able to, have team meetings and, everyone shares their listings or what they have going on and bounce ideas off of one another. And it's been really great. Yeah.
Are they providing leads for you, or is that pretty much your goal or your
Um,
ability?
the agent that I came in under, she has a few different ways that she gets leads, and she does provide the newer agents. She's not the biggest fan of calling, so it's something that she doesn't want to do. So if she gets one, she will typically send it to myself, or we have a few newer agents in the office as well. So yes.
Okay, so she does get some leads then from her team, but something else we talk about in our program is identifying 3 pillars of business and then making sure those pillars make it to your calendar so it actually happens. So what have you identified as your pillars of business?
My first one is my sphere, which is actually how my first 2 homes that are under contract, they came from my sphere. Second is online, and then I actually just switched my third. So it is for sale by owners slash expireds.
So she shared with me whenever we got on that she has a for sale by owner appointment, right? Or did you list it?
The appointment was yesterday, and I listed it. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit because I'm
Yes.
actually going on a for sale by owner tomorrow, and I'll share what I did. But so yeah, so tell us your process. How did that happen?
So this one I will say was kind of set up for me a little bit. I don't want to, toot
That's
my
okay.
horn too much. But yeah, so this one came from a referral in my office, actually, another agent. It is a home in Georgia, and she is not licensed in Georgia. But my seller wants to move to Beaufort County, but he needed to sell his home in Georgia first. So she gave him my contact, gave me his contact. I reached out, and he did wait about a week before we set that first appointment. He wanted to see if he got any more showings or whatever, being for sale by owner. But then we made the appointment, and he was ready to go pretty much. So yeah.
So hopefully what you're taking from that, Stefany, is this like you can do it, right?
Yes.
And you probably had to win the business still, I'm sure, because the for sale by owner is that DIYer. They're going to be the ones I think I can do it better, or I can save money. And so you do have to go in with like, okay, here's why it's beneficial.
Yes.
Um, So I hope that this is inspiring to you to go ahead and go after the for sale by owners.
It
And
was.
good, good, good,
Mhm.
good. So I actually had one of my buyers send me a for sale by owner sign. She sent me a picture of it. And she's like, I'm thinking about this one, and she knew from our buyer consultation that she had to send me anybody that because she needs to work with me, right? She agreed to do that.
Mhm.
So I just texted. It was over the weekend, so I just didn't have a lot of time. And I don't know. I feel like in today's day and age, a text is probably easier received for sell by owner. So I started with that. I just sent a text and I just asked, I introduced myself, obviously, and I asked if their home was still available and how much were they asking because I knew nothing about it. So they said, yeah, it's still available. This is what we're asking. And they gave me some details. It was out of my client's budget, but I said, I actually have a lot of buyers that I'm working with, which I do. I'd love to see if your house would be a good fit for one of them. Could I come and look at it? And of course, at this point, he already knew I was a realtor. And I didn't ask, will you work with the realtor? When are you going to list with the realtor? Why didn't you list with the realtor? What makes you think you're going to sell it on your own or whatever? Unfortunately, I have seen some scripts that were like that. And that it's almost insulting, and I just think that's not your job on either the text or the phone call. The only goal is to get in front of them. So I'm going to go on the appointment tomorrow at 5:30, and then at that point is when I'll be asking some of those questions, but maybe in a little softer way.
For
Um,
sure.
you know, so some of the questions I will ask is how did you arrive at the price, and how long, have you had it for sale? Have you had a lot of people look at it? Have you had any offers? And throughout those conversations, and also like, why are you selling, where are you moving, getting the motivation is key. And then I can ease into, well, here's what I would price it for, here's my advice, have you ever thought about listing? So I'll keep you posted. Maybe Stefany on Wednesday I can tell you how it
Yeah,
went.
let me know how it went.
I actually started out in my real estate career back in 2003. For sell by owners was like my go-to. That
Oh,
so you
nice.
can do it. You can do it, and that's my thought process: is just get the appointment and then have a good conversation with them when you get in front of them. So
I love that way too. Like you're not hounding them at the start. You're like, hey, I just want to see your house. I might have somebody interested. And I think that's a really good approach that I can implement better than some of the other, scripts that I've seen out there and stuff. So
that's right, because your assignment this last week, I think, was to get some scripts, wasn't it? To go on
I was going to
YouTube.
look at some scripts, and my assignment was one appointment, and I
You
got
did
my
it.
appointment yesterday. So
That's awesome. I'm so proud of you.
thank you.
Okay, so we'll just wrap it up with this. If somebody is thinking about joining our Six Foundations as a new agent, or maybe somebody that just wants to restart their career, want to also mention this before you answer. We actually guarantee that you'll make six figures in a year, within a year of working with us, as long as you show up every week and do what we ask you to do, which Stefany's doing. So what would you say to somebody who's considering it?
I mean, for me, it was a no-brainer. I don't know if it's because I was a new agent or not, but to me, holding yourself accountable, it's one thing to say you're going to do something, but when you have these weekly meetings and you are there, I don't want to say hounding us, but making sure that we're doing our homework and setting commitments for the week and sharing our wins, it's just a way to make sure that you're doing what you say you're going to do and you're following through. And that for me and my business is huge. Because if I'm just there, without anybody, pressuring me a little bit, then I might not get to it, or I'll say, well, there's always next week, or that kind of thing. And then also I kind of mentioned it before, but just being in a group with moms, that know what you're going through is very important. And if you think you're struggling, you get in this group and you see that you're not alone. So that's also worth it to me for sure.
Well, I was going to ask, you probably haven't done other coaching since you're newer, but a lot of agents wonder what it's like to do a group coach setting versus one-on-one, which we do offer one-on-one, but I actually think most people are more successful in a group setting. So what are your thoughts on that?
I personally like to hear everyone's questions for the week because it might be something that maybe, hey, I forgot to ask, or two, I didn't even think about that. And how can I implement this in my business? So to me, I like the group because you might get to hear some things that never would have even crossed your mind or that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
mhm.
And the other alternative that I see out there is mastermind. So the difference between a mastermind and a group coach or group coaching is we are speaking to one way of doing business. We're not all giving multiple ideas. Not that there's multiple ways of generating leads, but we're speaking to one system, which is know your numbers, know how many transactions, know how many attempts and connections you need weekly, get your 3 pillars, your 5 strategies, and get them on your calendar. I mean, that's a very quick, simplified version of the course. And there's a lot, obviously, that goes into that.
Mhm.
But I think, have you been part of a mastermind?
I
Okay.
haven't.
So, but I just think a lot of agents are used to the mastermind, and I want to speak to the person listening to this right now that's on the podcast or YouTube or wherever you're watching. If you are struggling in your business, you are feeling overwhelmed, feeling behind, feeling lost, stop going to masterminds because they are fueling that feeling. And here's why: because you have people that are presenting their best foot forward. Some of what they're saying may not even be true. I've known people to do that in masterminds. Well, they've heard of this system and they'll say, oh, well, this is how you should do it, and they've not even done it themselves. Okay, so you're getting all of these different perspectives, and of course you're going to walk away and feel it behind because there's no way you can implement all of that. Whereas in a group coach setting like this, where we have one course, one program, one thought process, it's so much easier because you have a very clear path to follow. And it's just like one step in front of the other, and you're going to be successful. So, and Stefany is living proof.
Yay.
Yeah. So, thank you for being on, Steph. So, if they want to send you referrals, how can they reach you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. You can email me. It's very simple. It's just my name, stephanysarami@gmail.com. Or probably message on Facebook or email. Yeah.
And for those listening on podcast, we'll put that in the show notes, but it is Stefany and then CERAME@gmail.com.
Yes, I forgot it is spelled a little differently.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on, and hopefully we'll get to see you in Dallas this year at the Abundance Conference.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure.
Bye, moms.
Bye.